Going on, everyone? Welcome, Rabid here, and today we're checking out that guy right there. So this is my first big ASIC that I finally get to test out, and this is for the none other than the OG Big Mac Daddy Bitcoin itself. So right here we're looking at Bitmain's Antminer S19J Pro Plus, and this is actually one of your most budget friendly ASICs for Bitcoin, and this is the 117 terahash version. It's supposed to do around 3,300 watts or so. So I will be testing this out. I'll show you guys how to hook this thing up if you're unfamiliar with an ASIC miner. I will then be shutting everything off, and so it's nice and quiet in here, and I'll be using my watt meter right there. That's on 240 volt, and we'll figure out hash rate mode as well as low power mode, and I'll also use my decibel reader to see how loud this ASIC miner really is. So this video would not be possible if it wasn't for Coin Mining Central. So Coin Mining Central actually did send me out this miner to showcase for you guys, so a huge shout out to them. And if you are in the market for any ASIC miners out there, be sure to check out Coin Mining Central, and code RabidMining will actually grant you 1% off your total order. They're ASIC miner value verified and 100% legit company. So be sure to always do your own research. Don't get scammed. Coin Mining Central is 100% legit.
Hey guys, check this out. I got another one for you. Are you looking for ASICs, but they're just sold out everywhere? Maybe you want to start an ASIC scalping business for 2025. Coin Mining Central has everything you need. They're a 4.8 star rated Trustpilot company, as well as an ASIC miner value verified company as well. And they got Rabid's stamp of approval. Depending where you live, you will get free shipping through DHL, and code RabidMining will grant you 100 euros off your order. Use my link in the description. Get your ASICs today and keep on hashing.
So a couple things I do want to touch up on before I show you how to set this up. And setting up an ASIC is very, very easy. But first thing is, some of you guys may be wondering, whoa, Rabid, a Bitcoin mining ASIC, what is up with that? They use a lot of power and they are very loud. So yes, ASICs can be very, very loud. It uses 4 fans. They are 6,000 RPM. They cut the wind extremely fast, and they scream like never before. So that is a thing. More on that later on in the video. But also, you can get other ASICs, and I've been mentioning it, you know, an L7 and other things that use about the same power or less and a lot more profitable, and then you can just swap into Bitcoin. Now, some things have been happening on Bitcoin, like the ordinals and other things, which is kind of like thinking Ethereum mining pre-1559. So we actually seen the block reward jump to a little over 11.5, 12 almost on Bitcoin, when right now the block reward is only supposed to be a little over 6. So we're seeing almost double the profitability here, even though the hash rate is extremely high. So leading into that next bull run, a Bitcoin miner might be something you want to get your hands on. On top of that, Bitcoin ASICs are probably one of the most reliable ASICs you won't have to worry about, because we don't have to worry about the hash rate exploding extremely fast like we see with a lot of other coins, and your ASIC becomes a doorstop very, very fast. So Bitcoin is an evolution. It's the OG coin, and it's just top notch. It's the coin you want to have. So usually you can see a lot of people saying I'm mining Bitcoin when they're probably just getting paid out in Bitcoin, and in fact they're nowhere near mining Bitcoin, because you do need a specific ASIC to mine Bitcoin and the SHA-256 algorithm. So these are things to keep in mind, and this miner here, in fact, 100% mines Bitcoin. All right, so step number 1, I'm going to install my Ethernet cable, and it's a very simple process. All I got to do is plug it in right here at the top that says ETH. No, not Ethereum, ETH as in Ethernet. So I'm just going to get in here. I'm going to take my cable, simply plug that in like so. Bam! Step 1 complete. Next, we're going to need our power. Okay, so next up we have our power, and here you can see we have 2 C14 plugs. The male end is always your even and higher number. So here we have 2 C14. We need 2 C13 plugs. If you're not familiar with those look like, that is your normal default plugs that you would see for most ATX power supplies under 1500 watts and so on. We have to run 220 to 240 volt on here. You're not going to be running this on 120 volt, because this does use over 3000 watts of power. You're going to be blowing a lot of breakers unless you got like a 50 or 60 amp 120 volt breaker. Highly not recommended. So we're going to be running at least 220 volts here. Myself, I got 240, so I got my PDU. Depending on your PDU is how you're going to run this. Now here I have some 12 amps. here for my C19 plugs, and I got a bunch of banks of your C13 plugs here, which are only 8 amps. So I'm actually gonna have to use 2 separate banks to power this miner, because a single 8 amp will be less than what I need for this complete 3000 watts. I believe 8 amps on 240 is only like 1900 and some watts or something like that. And that's 100%. You also want to run 80% to be a little safety and leave a little feature there so nothing explodes or something happens with a power surge. So I do have my 2 power cables plugged in right here, and I have one of these, the red one here, plugged into the back of my PDU. Now this will not turn on until you actually plug in both plugs. So here I got my 2 plugs plugged into here, and now I'm just gonna put my last plug into my PDU, and this thing will begin to fire up. And if you look at the back here, you can see I got one in the top bank, and I'm gonna throw the other one in this bank down here. It's not really focusing, I apologize. I'm just gonna get that in right here. Bam, that's in, and there she goes. She fired right up. So now we're just gotta wait like maybe 10 seconds, and this should be detected on our network. As you can see, it's already running the Ethernet there. So I got to jump to the workstation, and it's getting very loud at this point, and we're going to plug into this miner and take a look at things.
All right, so now that they have to find the IP to log into it, there's a bunch of various ways to actually do this. Bitmain has their own little tool, IP reporter, and so on. I simply, depending on your router, I just log into a home on my router, and I can see that my Antminer is actually detected on this IP right here. So that's all I need to do. Done. Very fast process. Now we're inside of the dashboard itself. All right, so you're going to want to decide what pool to pick. For myself right now, just for a quick setup process, I'm just going to go to Lucky Monster. This is a solo mining pool only. This is where my little USB drive, the Mars lander, is pointed to. So I'm just going to throw this thing on along beside it here. So I'm going to go normal difficulty. We're going to need our stratum here, which is I got right here. We're going to go into the dashboard, hit settings, and now we can see pool 1. So in pool 1, I'm just going to paste that in right there. Miner name, this is where you put your miner address. So this is already my address. So just paste your name in here for your mining address. That's your Bitcoin wallet address. Depending what wallet you're using, it'll be different. And then followed by the period, and then your worker name. In this case, I'm going Rabid S19J Pro Plus. You can set a password if you want, but you don't have to. You do have 2 modes here, normal mode and low power mode. So I'm just going to fire this up in normal mode, and then we'll run through the power consumptions and the testing and hash rates and all that stuff, decibel readings and so on. So we're going to start on hash rate mode here. Simply hit save, and this miner will then begin loading up that DAG file and everything and begin mining Bitcoin. Now with an ASIC miner that does mine SHA-256, which is the Bitcoin algorithm, while we're waiting for this to kind of ramp up, you don't have to mine Bitcoin if you don't want to. Most people that buy a Bitcoin miner, they're going to mine Bitcoin. ASIC mining are dedicated hash rate. You buy this for a specific algorithm, and that's it. You can't move to a whole bunch of various coins like you would on, like, say, CPUs or GPUs or something. So this is dedicated for this. But you do still have options with a SHA-256 ASIC. We do have Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, there's Bitcoin SV, there's a Digibyte version, there's eCash. So you can see here all the SHA-256 coins that you can actually mine. It looks like, I don't know what Novo is. This is a little bit different, so you can't do that. There's a DT in here, but there is a various amount of SHA-256 coins that you can mine other than Bitcoin. So maybe you can find profitability on other coins.
All right, guys, so we are fired up and we are mining some Bitcoin. So this is actually a historic and exciting moment on the RabidMining YouTube channel. We're officially mining the SHA-256 Bitcoin algorithm, and Bitcoin is the coin we're mining. So that is awesome. So now I'm gonna have to shut off all the iPolos down here, the E300, and we'll figure out just how loud this thing is by itself. I got a decibel reader, we'll point it up to the front and the back here. And then we'll also figure out how much power this miner is actually using in both hash rate mode and low power mode. This thing is absolutely awesome. All right, so here is the S19J Pro Plus in hash rate mode. This is the 117 terahash version. But before we check out the power consumption, I have everything else shut off just so that only this is currently running the power right now, so we can get an accurate number. But we're gonna check the decibel reading. So right now, we are about 80 decibels or so, 83 there with me talking right now. I'm gonna put this to various points around it and just see how loud the miner itself is. So I'm gonna shut up now. So as you can see, we are about 80 to 83 decibels up close to this thing, which is louder than me trying to talk right now. So I don't even know if you guys can hear me at this point in time. Now, I did think this would be louder. It is a more higher pitched scream, but it's not as loud as I actually thought it was going to be. But honestly, guys, it is very loud. You can hear it for yourself. This is loud, not for apartments. Neighbors and everything will definitely hear you, on top of needing 240 volt there. Now, this has a little different sound than like L3 pluses, as well as the E300 down there, which is currently off until I'm done testing this. I'll turn that back on. But now let's kind of look at the power consumption of this miner in hash rate mode. So if we come over to here, we'll have a quick peek here, and we can see we are using about 3,302 watts. So just move to 3 here. So 3303 is what this thing is using. And now we're going to jump in and kind of look at what the hash rate is, and then we'll swap this over to low power mode and see what it looks like.
So looking into the dashboard here, we're about 117.839 terahash here, which is 117,839 gigahash. Now the pool was saying this, but currently now it dropped down to 109. This pool only measures hash rate, which is dependent on the shares you're actually finding. So this is just a solo pool right now. It is Lucky Monster is what I'm currently on, just for testing purposes right now, and see, you know, maybe we'll hit a block. We hit a block, that would be awesome. Will I hit a block? 99.99999% chance. No, that will not happen. There is so much hash rate on Bitcoin. But hey, you never know. Luck could be in our favor. Regardless, that is our current hash rate. If we go and look at the numbers, 117.85 terahash at 3,303 watts currently works out to be about 35.679 gigahash per watt of power used. So now I'm going to swap this over to low power mode, and it's a fairly simple process. All I got to simply do is come into the settings here, and here you can see mode. I'm simply going to go from normal to low power mode and then just save that. So now it's going to swap itself over to low power mode. I'll let it run for about 20 minutes or so, and then we'll check the power as well as the hash rates and see what it's looking like.
We are now in low power mode, and I actually have to break out the decibel reader again because this thing is very quiet. The fans are not ramping up. We're not using as much power, and obviously the chips aren't getting as hot due to the fact that it is not pushing out the hash rate. So we're going to take a look here and see just how loud this thing is now. So let's be quiet. So about 71 decibels in the front. The back was the louder side here before. So about 72 decibels. Wow, that's pretty crazy. Like, my exhaust fan is actually louder than this, and that's all I got going on. Now this exhaust fan, it works pretty darn good. I spent like, I don't know, was it 30 bucks at Home Depot, was on sale. It only uses about 120 watts on the high end. I just got it on low right now, but it does move around 3,500, 4,000 CFM of air. So it's a nice, decently powerful and not power hungry type of fan for my little basement. If we look over here, we can see what my ambient temp is, and I was actually at about 30 degrees. I had that thing on for a couple hours. I'm down to 24. So the way I have everything set up, you know, with a couple windows open, and it just sucks all the air and up, that's up high, and it just exhausts everything right out. So it works good for my setup here. You know, when it gets to like plus 30 degrees out there, it's still nice and cool down in this mining basement. So I thought I'd point that out though, but this thing is definitely a lot quieter. Like, I literally, let's kind of move up to this. Like, I can't really hear this thing. Like, it surprised me that this thing is saying it's like 79, 70 some decibels here, but you know, I can't really hear this thing. I hear that fan a lot higher. So that's pretty crazy. So let's go over to look at the power now, see how much power we're actually pulling at this point. So we are at 2,111 watts. So 2,100 watts in low power mode. So let's figure out what our actual hash rate is now.
So coming into the miner here, we can see we're doing about 90.3 terahash or 90,308 gigahash. Now I didn't go through the temperatures and the fan speed, but here we can see we're running our fan speed at about 3570, 36, 35. This is about a little over, about 55% of the max. And when I was in hash rate mode, we were running these things at 6,000. So the fans are running 50% slower, and the RPM makes them a lot quieter than what they are. For our inlet temp, we're around 51, 53, 52, and our outlet temperatures are 67, 70, and 70. So that's what we got going on here. If we go into the pool, we can see that it's saying 94.66 terahash. Again, this doesn't have any averages on this pool. It's just strictly based on the shares you're currently finding at the adjustments of the difficulty. So this really doesn't matter in this case, but that's what we got here. Now let's go to the spreadsheet and kind of pull these numbers together. So coming into the spreadsheet here, we can now see low power mode. I got 90.3 terahash. We're using 2,111 watts. That's actually 42.77 gigahash per watt. So we did gain a decent amount of efficiency utilizing low power mode. So here we can see the total 117.85 terahash in hash rate mode, 90.3 terahash in low mode, 3,303 watts versus 2,111 watts. We lost like over 1,200 watts here, and we didn't lose too much hash rate, which obviously makes that efficiency go from 35.679 gigahash per watt to 42.77 gigahash per watt.
So there we have it, guys. Bitcoin mining can be pretty loud and use quite a bit of power, but it is a pretty wicked ASIC. I am in love with this thing right now. Now, let's take a look at the pros and the cons. Obviously, the pros is we're mining Bitcoin. It's the OG coin of them all. And then we got cons for home miners. Now, it uses quite a bit of power. Most miners these days, though, we do have 240 volt. You know, for GPU mining and so on, we run double pole 30 amp breakers and so on. We're rocking 240 volts. So it's not a power issue for most home miners. It's a noise issue. So in the next video, that is right, make sure you're subscribed because you're not going to want to miss this. In the next video, what if I told you you could actually silence this thing completely? How am I going to do that? I have a special kit here. Some of you guys may know these guys. Link will be in the description as well, from Fruits and Associates. So what we got going on here is we're going to actually remove all the fans, and we're going to be throwing all this stuff onto there. So here we have an exhaust manifold. This is some ducting going on right here. I'm going to actually run this, and it might replace my fan. So I'm almost hitting two birds with one stone. I'm going to remove that and exhaust out the window through this miner while it sucks in all the air from the room with this fan right here. We have our kit here. This is your Fruits kit right here. These parts are additions separately, and to silence this thing right down to next to nothing, we got those right there. You see that? So those are going to go on as well, and these are almost like mufflers. So these are called silencers. I'll have the link to all this stuff down in the description. But next video, we're going to be throwing all of this onto this ASIC, and you should not even be able to hear this thing run at all, which means this is game changing for next level home miners. You can pretty much run any large ASIC at home now and not hear a single thing with these kits here. So thank you, Fruits and Associates, for this kit. I will be doing that in the next video, and we're going to try to silence this Bitcoin miner. Anyway, guys, thank you for checking out this video. I will see you on the next one. Rabid out.